All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into a bunch of hotline calls. Another hotline day. I'm very excited about that. I love hotline calls. Got a little updates in the LPDS universe we're going to get to. And we have a promising Cage fact. Not guaranteed, but promising. So all that's coming up right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. It's the show that talks about nothing but finds the lessons in everything, and we try to have a good time doing it. Hope everybody had a good week. I had one of the least motivational weeks in a long time. And this is not, it wasn't a depressing week. It wasn't a bad week. It was just a week where I didn't want to do anything productive. And I think we've all been there before. And I tried to do what I could to put that out there for people, at least on the spearhead side of things and on Instagrams and stuff like that. I don't mind putting that stuff out there, and it's not for attention, like emotional attention or sympathy or praise or anything like that. It's just because I don't think we have enough people putting stuff out there like that to let people know that we all go through stuff like this. We all have sad times, depressing times. Maybe we're all dealing with hardships. Everything is not hunky-dory all the time. And I think like the pendulum swing so far these days with the social media of creating all these unrealistic expectations of your career life, your love life, how rich you should be, when you should become a millionaire, what you should be doing in your lives in general. All those things have become so unrealistic and have caused so many people to spiral out of control in their lives because they're just constantly consumed and flooded with this information on social media by influencers and the snake oil salesmen and famous people and things like that being put out there like, oh, my life is great because I'm a billionaire. I get all the chicks or the fellas. I'm always on vacation. My relationships are all perfect and they're always with hot people. Everything is perfect all the time. And they never put out the reality, the behind the camera stuff of the day-to-day, like the human things that happen to us or that we do or how we feel. And some of these people are successful. And some of these people are also happy in general. That's perfectly normal to see. But what's also perfectly normal is to have bad days or tougher weeks or in a position where you have to get stuff done in your life, but you just don't want to do it that day or even that week. So what I've been trying to do is instead of hiding all that, I try to put it out there to let them know that everybody feels this way. And I know I'm just a schmo right now. But I'm putting it out there anyway. Because that when I am in that position that people look at me and be like, man, that guy did it. He's successful. He's hunky. He could go on vacation, whatever he wants. When I get to that point, I want people to also see, the trenches. I'm a trench guy. You guys know I'm a trench guy. I love living in the trenches, and I want to show people the trenches. Okay, I want people to see what it's like crawling through the sewers because that's what a lot of life is. behind the glitz and the glam of success and happiness and wealth, there's a lot of trench warfare going on. And if nobody else is going to show you, damn it, maybe I'll be the only one. I'll show you. And I'm never going to stage stuff for you unless it's like a purposeful bit and it's a joke thing on purpose that that I'm creating with somebody or something like that. Like a fake training montage or some of the fun stuff I do with sticks or even my buddy, the Bone Crusher. I'm not going to set up a tripod and then fake cry to show you that I'm having a sad day or a bad day. I'll just, I'll post and just talk through my feelings and how it's going that day. And if the waterworks start in the midst of that, just know that's real. And if they don't, then it's also real. I'm not going to fake an emotion or a feeling or a situation I'm in to make a point. If I'm feeling a certain way, and I think it would be value added to people's lives if they see this, if they kind of know what's going on here, because maybe they'll relate to it. Maybe they feel the same way, and maybe now they know a little bit how to navigate around that or through that or lead through it. And as you guys know, a lot of the times I learn lessons the hard way. So I have no problem putting that out there and saying, hey, I'm feeling in this certain way. I did this as a response to not feel this way, and it didn't work. And so don't do that. Here's the lesson for you guys. The value added for you guys is don't do this to feel better about this, whatever. So long story longer, my entire week was completely unmotivated to do anything. But even though I didn't get as much done as I always try to do each week, I got my non-negotiables done. And I'm proud of myself for that. And it's a small win, and I don't celebrate small wins at all, really, in my life. So I'm trying to be better at that still. And I've talked about that in the past. So that was a small little weekly victory that I was able to get the non-negotiables done. Follow the big 3, got my workout in, did the stuff I needed to do for spearhead just to keep the needle even crawling forward. So that's, I'm not trying to suck myself off here because I didn't make a lot of progress, but I didn't go backwards. And I think that's a thing that people kind of fall into. I've fallen into this constantly where the motivation's gone and therefore the action and the progress goes with it. And then you're taking 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And at least this way, I took 1 step forward and like another half step forward. Like I didn't lose progress. So I'm still climbing the ladder very slowly, climbing the mountain very slowly. So there's a little immediate lesson for you guys right now. Keep pushing forward, even when you have no motivation, and which I didn't. And most of the time, we're not going to. And that was another thing I was trying to put out there, is like a reminder to people that the motivation's not going to be there. Okay. And by me putting out rah-rah cheerleader type motivational videos every single day, you're going to get tired of it. It's going to wane. That motivational, like inspirational spark is just going to go away. Because if you're just constantly inundated with super dramatic motivational speeches every single day, you build up a tolerance to it, which is why you can't rely on motivation. You build up a tolerance to that, and then you need more to motivate yourself, and you need more to motivate yourself. So the spearhead leadership lesson of the day is build the discipline in your lives. So when that unreliable motivation is gone, or where you require more motivation, you really don't. You have the discipline, you're going to do it anyway. So that's how my week went. Now, I want to touch on one quick thing sports-wise. I'm not going to get too much into a rant, but this seems to be happening a lot lately. Every time I bring up the New York Yankees on the show, I talk about how, not that they stink, but I point out the glaring issues of the team. And then every time I talk about that, I post an episode, and then they go on a string of wins, almost as if they listen to this and they're just, shoving it down my throat, shutting me up, which I would be fine with if that were the case. Obviously, nobody on the Yankees is listening to this and tuning in and getting any sort of like motivation or anything from this, which is fine. Maybe they should, though, because they did it again. Last week, I think I talked about them sort of being, trying to trick us into thinking they were good, and then they go on a string of wins and shut me up. But then by the end of the week, I have more ammo to talk about why I believe my opinion and my assessment of the team is going to be the correct one at the end of the year. Because they go on this string of wins when they're actually playing good baseball, doing the things they need to do, getting guys on base, getting guys over, getting guys in to score, not leaving tons of runners in scoring position and blowing that, taking advantage of those situations and giving their pitchers a break by giving them bigger leads and beating the teams they need to beat. Well, by the end of this week, they were already back into leaving 10, 11, 13 runners on base throughout the game and not scoring them, not being able to put away mediocre to poor teams. Their pitchers were going out there giving only 3 runs up in their outings, and the Yankees can't go and score the big runs to support their pitchers and take the victories. Or they'll give up leads and then lose it in extra innings to mediocre teams. Mediocre teams, if you want to be playoff competitive and World Series contenders, you have to put them down. You have to put the mediocre teams down, and those should be almost guaranteed wins. Every once in a while, maybe maybe those mediocre teams have a good game and they steal one from you. But your record against mediocre teams throughout the season should be in the 90th percentile. You're winning 90% of those games. They just split a series with the Oakland Athletics, who are so bad over the past decade that they have to move out of their own city to a different city to try to start over. Think about that for a second. Have you ever had a friend, or maybe you were in this situation where things were so bad for your family, or maybe you kept getting in trouble in school and you were just so down and out that you had to go get a change of scenery and leave town? That's what the Oakland Athletics are. They're leaving town to go try to start over and try to get good. That's a team right now that you should be beating 90 to 100% of the time. It should be no question. And the Yankees split the series, a 4-game set with them. Split. Couldn't put them away. Couldn't even win the series. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, so when I post this episode and then they go on a string of dominating victories and everyone's going to be like, oh, see, Libretti's an idiot. This is a different team. They got it dialed in. They don't. Okay? Because by the end of the week, they're going to rest on their laurels because they won 3 games in a row, and they're going to shit the bed to a mediocre teams, and then they're going to be, at the end of the season, scraping on the wild card doorsteps, wondering why they're not dominating the division. It's because they're losing these games to mediocre teams because they don't have the consistency that they think they do, or that they keep telling everybody they do. And I want it to be known here. I'll say it every week. Unless they make actual drastic changes in the players they have, the bench players they have, and their mindset and approach to the game, they are not going to be competitive in the long run. They're going to be lucky. They're going to trick you into thinking they're competitive, and they're going to lose. They're going to lose in the end. And you hear it here all the time. This is where you hear it. Don't get tricked. Crazy Carol, my mother, almost got tricked. We had to talk about this last week. She's like, oh, they're doing very well. They did this and that. And then while we're talking on the phone, they're crapping the bed to a mediocre team. She's like, I don't understand it. I was like, that's because they're tricking you into thinking they got it dialed in, and they just don't. They're just not there yet. They need more pieces to the puzzle. Don't get tricked into thinking that. Don't let Cashman convince you that he got it all figured out and he did it this year. He didn't do shit. I love the Yankees, though. I think Verdugo's doing well. He's working hard. The guys are trying. They're just not there yet. I like Soto. They're just not there yet. That's all I have to say about that. Moving on to more current events. I'm going to keep this quick because I don't know what to make of it. London boy knocked on my door again. It was in the middle. I was in an actual work call. It was like a 3 or 4 hour work call. And he knocks on the door and he waits. And then he rings the bell and he waits. And I send him a text message because I see him on my little Ring app, the doorbell app. I see it on the camera that he's there. Now, there's a couple reasons. There's 2 reasons why I didn't get up to go answer the door. One, I'm in the middle of a work call, and I didn't have time to talk for the extended period of time that London Boy likes to converse and get back to the meeting. If it was a stranger, a solicitor, I could have run over there and been like, hey, not interested, see ya, and I'm back to my call. But I knew that wasn't going to happen with LB. The second reason why I didn't answer the door is because he was carrying his hammer of David Justice again. And I don't know if he was setting up signs for another garage sale or what, but I just didn't feel very comfortable with a guy substantially bigger than me at my doorstep who I know in the past has seemingly been in desperate need for money, wielding a hammer. I felt like I would have been unprepared for that or setting myself up for some sort of a failure. So I sent him a text message. I communicated. I wasn't ignoring him. I communicated, hey, LBD, I'm in a work meeting right now. I can't come to the door. I'm on a call. I see him on the camera, checked his phone. He saw the text message. And he proceeded to stay there and keep knocking on the door and ringing the bell for another 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I timed it. Now I don't have record privileges or access on my Ring because I'm not paying for the service. I don't want that company or any really company to have access to monitoring my surveillance of my property like that. So I don't record. I'm sure they're still doing it, but whatever. I'm trying. So I didn't record. Not that I would put the video up here because again, I don't want to put him on the spot in that regard. So he gets facial recognition and stuff like that. Because I do feel for the guy. I feel bad. I want to help. I'm trying to help him, and I'm trying to communicate that. But there was no need to keep sitting at the door and ringing the bell, driving my dog crazy. He's barking for 10 extra minutes. I'm trying to listen to my call and also converse with my team and let them know, hey, sorry, there's someone at the door that you can hear my dog bark, and I hope it's not too distracting. I got to mute myself and try to double dutch into the conversation when Randy's not barking, and I don't understand why he wouldn't leave. I also don't understand why he wouldn't see the text and even respond like it's an emergency. If it was an emergency, just text, hey, I really need to talk. That's why I'm sticking around here. No, he just hung out. And at one point, he was just leaning on the wall like, I got nothing but time. And I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what to do about it. I don't have specifically what he's looking for to support right now. And I'm trying to maintain the relationship. And I'm trying to support as I can. And I'm putting this out there to the people, not to dime him out or make him look like a psychopath or a weirdo. But just because I think it's a funny situation. I don't think he's going to harm me. But it is a funny situation that we need to be able to laugh about. All of us, LBD included, London Boy Daddy included. So I'm here to help you, buddy. We just got to figure out the best way for both of us to get you whatever it is you're looking for, the support you need. I don't have what you're asking for. I don't have money. We got to figure out another way. We also need to be more aware of some sort of like solicitor etiquette, neighborly door knocking etiquette. You ring once, you wait 10 seconds, you get no response, you bounce. You ring, you get a response via text message that I'm busy, you bounce. We don't linger. We can't linger, though. We can't be doing that. Okay? Can't be lingering on property like that with wielding a hammer and not responding to let somebody know, let your neighbor know, hey, I'm not here to hack you up with this hammer. I got a question for you. But you just sat there with a hammer, ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing, driving everybody crazy. Anyway, love you, Linda boy. Hope you're not listening. What else we got here on the updates? I'm gonna keep this quick, but I think this is a lesson or just a thought that maybe you guys can think about and see if you experience the same feelings and do the same thing in your head that I do. I broke my favorite mug earlier this week. I got this ceramic mug as a gift from JPL3 and Crazy Carol. I want to say 12 to 15 years ago. I don't exactly remember when they gave it to me. I don't remember if it was in college when I was doing ROTC or right as I commissioned in 2010, but they gave me this ceramic mug with the Air Force emblem on it, and it was a great mug. It was the perfect size. The design was exactly how I like it. Almost, it was similar to the diner mug design, where it's sort of like an hourglass sort of figure almost. And it had and it filled up the cup. It was the exact right amount of coffee that you could put in this mug. It was perfect. And I had this thing for upwards of 15 years. Everywhere I went, wherever I was stationed, whenever I brought it with me on deployment, I ended up using the tin mug I got on deployment because it was a little more durable and you could carry it in battle. Otherwise, back at the office, I had that mug. And I was going to fill up my coffee one morning, and I was pulling it out of the dish rack, and I do my normal pull it out from the bottom, and I go to place it on the table so I can grab the handle and flip it, and I just sausage fingered it off into the sink, off the ledge there on the edge of the sink, into the sink, and then I went to go catch it, but I ended up slamming it down even harder, and that's when it broke. In fact, it even cut my finger a little bit. You can't see it. See that little scar there? If you're looking on YouTube land, my middle finger, right there in YouTube land. Little bit of a cut. I'm okay physically. And it got me really distraught. Long story longer, and I'm going to keep going here. It got me really distraught and bummed. And it was like, it just felt like the end of an era. This, like, a lot of stuff got lost in that catastrophe. And I've been trying the rest of this week. A, I got to get over it. I got to move on. It's but I've been trying to reconcile within myself why I was feeling that way. Why was I so distraught about this material thing getting lost. And I come to the sort of conclusion that, and I think this is how sentimentality works. And I'm going to sound stupid here because it's like, oh, you just figured out what sentimental value means. And I know what sentimental value means, generally speaking, but I never actually took the time to think through the logic behind it. Why a tangible item has an emotional connection to you. And for this mug, I figured out why that was. And it's because it's been everywhere with me. And there are so many things that happen in my life and memories, good and bad, that mug was there for. That material item was, that piece of ceramic was there for. And again, it's just a mug. Okay, it's not alive. It doesn't have its own feelings or soul or anything, or sentience or anything like that. But when I looked at the mug, when I used it, that brought back those memories. It triggered those memories and those experiences that I had. So when I knew I had to throw that thing away, now I'm distraught because now it's like, I'm thinking, how am I going to remember what else did I have during all those times that I can turn to remember those memories, to think about those memories. And I know, and one side of me, that fake tough guy side that I still have, that I'm trying to also, reconcile with and figure out, beat, was just like, dude, the memories are in your head. Just think about them whenever you want. Be a man. Stop getting attached to mugs or pens or books or something stupid like that. It was just a mug. Get over it. But I fought back on this time. I fought back with that guy a little bit. And hopefully you guys can swallow your pride, if you have any pride or ego too, and fight back when the tough guy is inside of you and trying to tell you to man up and be a tough guy. Don't be a mush ball. And it's just a blah, blah, blah. I fought back because take the time to think about when you think of all your memories, all the good memories you have, bad memories, whatever it is. What is the common denominator in all those times you've remembered things or shared a memory? There's a trigger. Okay, that's the answer. Spoiler alert. There is a trigger. Maybe you're hanging out with your old college or high school friends, and then you start talking about the good old days, and you start sharing stories and memories because the trigger was, I'm with my friend I haven't seen in years. It is bringing back those memories, and we're going to share those stories again. Or it's your kitty blanket. Oh, I remember having this as a kid and this and that. It protected me, whatever. Or it was a gift you got from a significant other. Or maybe it was a mug you got from your parents that seemed stupid at the time because I was not even really in the Air Force for more than a second. And they got me this mug that says you're in the Air Force. And at the time, I didn't even want to use it because I was like, I don't want to be that guy who's been in the Air Force an hour and is starting wearing Air Force memorabilia like I'm this salty war veteran. And then 15 years later, I'm sitting there in my kitchen, bleeding in my sink, figuring out how am I going to trigger these memories again? What am I going to do? Now, I'm good. Believe me, I'm good. Don't worry. But it was just an interesting sort of mental exercise that I did throughout the week where I was trying to do and trying to figure out. Now, am I going to buy a new mug like that if I can find one? Maybe, because, again, it wasn't specifically the mug. It was just like when I see that thing, it'll trigger the memories. Now, while that particular new mug might not be the the physical one that was with me in all those experiences, I'll look at that mug and I'll 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I'll be like, this is not the original mug. The original mug had all of this going on for it. And then I'll remember the memories. So it'll serve the purpose. Again, it's not necessarily this physical object. It's what it triggers. It's what it represents. And I'm starting to get the sentimental value stuff more with people. And I started thinking even more so about how my parents are with that stuff and how they have a full basement of what anybody in the outside world will look at and consider to be garbage. But I get it. So I'm trying now to figure out ways to save the sentimentality of something without wasting this physical space of that something taking up physical space in your lives. Particularly for my parents, as we continue to clean out their house and make the basement a little bit more livable for certain people who come in the wintertime. But for me too, because I do have a lot of stuff that like, I don't want to throw this out. It was from high school or whatever it is. So I'm trying to figure out a way to immortalize that and keep the triggers without keeping the crap, the tangible crap. And I don't know if that's like digital pictures that you could put up or have on your phone or what. I'm working through it. I'm sure there's people out there, even if you're maybe some of you guys listening, that are like, yeah, we've already figured that out. Get with the times. If you have, let me know. And I'll get with the times. And I'll figure that, I'll help. It'll help me out and help my parents out, hopefully. So anyway, I'm over it. I'll let you know if I get a new mug. If I do, I'll bring it on here. In the interim, I am using away team merchandise, visitor mugs, and I'm not comfortable with that. I can't get the ratio of coffee to cream correct in the mug. I'm relearning, how to hold it properly to most effective for it's. Look, I'm a weirdo, guys. I think most of you know that. Okay? I'm a little kooky. I like things very particularly in my life. Everything. Okay? Now, do I let it get to me to the point where I'm incapacitated and everybody else has to feel my wrath? I don't think so. If I am, let me know. If I seriously am, let me know. If you're just going to say it as a joke, I'm going to dismiss it. But I like to think that I keep my quirks to myself and I control the controllables within, and I don't let it affect other people around me too much these days anymore. But I am a kooky guy. And I spent the last several days trying to figure out the best way to get the coffee from the mug to my mouth that's going to suit me the way that mug did. And we're working through it, folks. We are working through it. We are in the lab with different mugs of different shapes and sizes. And we're going to figure it out. Anyways, let's get to the good stuff. We'll step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Seth's Salads. Do you ever find yourself in the lettuce department of the grocery store and think to yourself, man, I'd really like to turn that bushel of weeds into an entire meal, but don't have the time to buy and prepare all the different ingredients to actually make it worth eating? Then order yourself a Seth salad today. Seth and her team of highly skilled salad tossers will create a custom salad that meets your every desire and will do all the prep work from buying the ingredients to preparing it to not judging you for thinking about salads as a meal. So to get a Seth salad today, visit www.tossmysalad.com and use the promo code jelly or syrup for 29% off your first order. The only time I would say in the past decade that I've thought about a salad or making them, or whether or not it's a meal or not, have been the past 2 weeks because of that stupid hotline call. That's it. I don't know if it was a bit or the person has too much time on their hands or what, but I can't get over it now that person's sitting there thinking about that stuff. Anyway, the Cage fact. A bunch of people sent this to me, and I appreciate it. I do have to admit, though, nobody sent this information to me before I saw it myself. And that's not a dig on anybody. That's, if anything, it's a dig on me for being just so in the weeds on Cage and news updates and facts and rumors and what have yous, that it's very tough. It's very difficult for somebody to send me breaking Cage news or updates or even jokes or memes that I haven't already seen. But I appreciate people doing that because at some point it's going to happen. So if I tell people to stop sending me this stuff because I've already seen it, I'm not going to do that. Now, what I will do, and this just happened to me recently, if I post something publicly, like on social media, about a Nic Cage thing, and then a week later or even like a couple days later, you send it to me as if it wasn't just up on my story or my posts, I'm going to call you out for that. Okay? I'm going to shit talk you in a joking way for that. And that happened to me by 2 people in the same week. I posted an Instagram story. It was like a little meme, and it said, if you squint your eyes at this picture, Cameron Poe will pop up in the screen. The way these women at this store, this market were positioned, and the way the food was and the way the picture was, if it was probably done on purpose, AI generated. If you squint your eyes, the blurriness looked like Nic Cage from Con Air. And I posted that post on my story, and over 100 people saw it because I can see the analytics and who's looking at my stories. And I got 2 people in the same week end up, after I posted that, sending it to me without seeing it on my story, without even acknowledging that it was like I already posted it. Like you're not even paying attention to me. Like, what am I posting this stuff for if you're just completely dismissing it and then, just wasting time? That's the waste of time. Sticks does that to me too every once in a while. Nicky Sticks. I'll send him a video on Instagram. He'll ignore me, as he usually does. And then like 3 days later, he'll send me the exact same video as if he found it. And I'll just send him back. I'll be like, I literally just sent this to you 3 days ago, and you ignored it. It said you saw it. It said the message was read, and you just didn't say anything. Oh, I'm a busy guy. Moving and shaking and smoking and joking. No, you're not, Sticks. You're sitting there thinking about the next self-treat meal you can have. So, anyway, the Cage fact. Where the hell are we going with this, folks? There are rumors out there from the writer's room, essentially, the producers, the directors, the bigwigs creating Face Off 2. There are rumors that they are very close to guaranteeing that both Nic Cage and Travolta are going to be on board for the sequel. Now, we've talked about this a long time ago, maybe a couple years ago now, that there was rumors of a sequel being written and that it was going to be a sequel written for those two and not an offshoot or a remake with new actors and malarkey. And it sounds like they're holding good on that word, and they're working towards, getting the big dogs on set. So we'll see how that goes. Now, I read a bunch of articles on it Every single one says the same thing. It's still not confirmed, but they have been in talks with both parties, and they both seem amenable. There's trending positively. We'll say that. It's trending positively, which is nice. Because I don't know what. I would not watch a face-off without them. That's stupid. Don't make it. Don't make the face-off without them. I don't care if you lose millions of dollars preparing and writing a script and doing all the work to get there, and those two are out. If those two are out, don't make the movie. Everybody's out. Okay? You can't make that movie. You can't remake that movie and expect it to be successful. Maybe 70 years down the road, when everybody who was alive for the original as a viewer or a cast member is gone. That's what they did with like Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler. He made that movie and everyone thought it was a new idea, but there was a movie back in the 50s about Longfellow Deeds and that story. But that movie played, the Adam Sandler version played for a number of reasons. One, it was good. It's Adam Sandler. And you could dog on him all you want. I like him. And two, it was so far removed from the original, nobody even remembered that there was an original. So that's the only way Face Off would have a chance at a remake or a sequel, probably a remake at that point, is if everybody's gone and nobody remembers it. Otherwise, while the two stars are still alive, if you're thinking about doing it, it has to be with them. It has to be. So there's the Cage fact. We'll move on over to the Junction. We'll spin the logo up, and we're going to have a very mini celebratory discussion before we get into the hotline calls. Because if you haven't heard the news, the war is over. Operation Gatekeeper's Gambit was a victory. It's been a long time coming. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, there are several episodes over the past several months. What is the word I'm thinking of? Archiving, telling the story of dialogue, not dialoguing, but talking through the situation I've been dealing with my gate in my backyard and the commercial property management company that was trying to board it up and prevent me from using it and do all these illegal things. Go watch those episodes. They're pretty obvious to see. I think one is called We're at War, and War is Hell, and On the Brink of War. Those are probably the ones I'm talking about right now. But the war is now over. Okay? We had a little bit of an additional doo-doo-doo where the person who was supposed to come and fix the gate for good found themselves out of the country and didn't say anything else. I had to leave the country. I won't be back until this date. And they went MIA for a number of weeks. Now, I come to find out that this person was actually on a church mission trip to El Salvador. And he showed me some pictures. They had a great time. He brought his family with them, and they helped out the people there who were dealing with a situation where nobody has plumbing. They're washing themselves in just these tubs of water that they have to transport up and down mountains to get the water there, and they're bathing in the same water that they're practically drinking. So they were trying to help progress, move the needle forward in technological advancements for the people there. So at least the trip was good and wasn't a bad trip. I thought for a second the guy got deported or something, or he was on the lam or whatever, but he came with a team, and the gate is back to its original condition. You almost can't tell. The only reason why, if you're looking quickly at the gate, the only reason you could tell that something is amiss or different is because they had to put a new latch on there so I can lock it from the outside when I use it. And the latch is new. It's a fresh new latch. So it's not a faded black color. because it hasn't been in the sun long. And that's the only thing that sticks out. Otherwise, it is all the way back. And it's and the company has in writing said, we are sorry. What we did was wrong, and we will never do it again. And you now have a functioning gate again, and you can use it whenever, and nothing will happen to you. Now, the only way this could have gone better, the only two ways is one, if it was done quickly, and two, if they just gave me a pile of cash so I could get it fixed myself for super cheap and pocket the rest of that cash. That would have been the only thing better. Otherwise, we are back to where we were. The fortress is refortified. The compound is back to 100%. And we won. And it's over. And talk about a sigh of relief, a weight off the shoulders. It is slightly bittersweet, not bittersweet. It's not a real thing. It's slightly bittersweet because, as you guys know, I am a nut job, and these legal fights, these figurative wars, are my drug. And when I am in the trenches of warfare like this, I am on another level. I am a different human being. But as we know, I can't live like that. It's like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. It's like the Incredible Hulk minus all the strength and power and positives that the Hulk has, is just a monster. I'm just a monster. And if I'm on your side, you love me. And if I'm not on your side, you despise me. And I'm okay with that. I'm an acquired taste as it is. Why do you think I'm 55 years old and still single? I'm an acquired taste. I know that, and I'm okay with that. But when it comes to war, I am a triple acquired taste. Okay? If you want me on your side, if you have a fight that you want help with, you have to understand that about me. If you're going to pick me as an ally for your war, and I also, feel that morally and ethically it's I side with you. If I don't agree with you in a particular situation, I'm not gonna throw my hand out and be like, yeah, I'll help you fight this. No. But if we both come to an agreement that you want me on your side, you have to know. You have to be okay with that. That I'm a monster. I'm a psychopath. I do things irrationally. I'm aggressive. I'm angry with it. I'm a monster when I'm in war. And you're not going to probably agree with the way I go about doing things to get to the goal, to the end game, especially when it's my war and it's my end game. You might have a different goal in mind. Like with this war particularly, people had different ideas of what they would consider victory than I did, and that's fine. So we have to be on the same page. So just know that. If you want me on your side with war, I'm giving you the heads up right now. You better be ready. Okay? You better be ready for the monster. And these people were just not ready for it. They just weren't. I could tell by talking to the director of the property management team. He was just so tired of the emails and the phone calls and the correspondence. And he didn't know, like, when you get to a situation where it's such high stress, this is something that the military at least used to do. They do it with special forces still. They put you in the high stress situations immediately. Like, you get off when we went to boot camp. Again, I don't know if it's like this now because it got soft. You get off the bus at boot camp, and the doors open and you're getting screamed at immediately. And they're just shoving you out of the bus to get your ass out there. And everything you do, they're just yelling at you for. Everything you think you're supposed to be doing, getting your bags, forming up in formation, whatever you think you're supposed to do, you're getting yelled at for it. Even if it's the right thing to do, they're yelling at you because it's not fast enough or it's not right enough for them. They're throwing you into the fire like that to see how you handle the stress, because especially if you're not experienced in it, if you get that deluge, is it deluge or deluge? Deluge of shit and stress and storming and craziness and chaos, you have to be able to revert back to your training and get the job done anyway. And this guy just didn't have that experience. And you get to the point, if you don't have that experience, this is my point. I forgot. I just remembered what my point was. If you don't have that experience and you get that shitstorm, that firestorm on you, figuratively speaking, you freeze up. The fight or flight mode usually has you freeze up and you just do nothing. Because no matter what you're doing, you're getting yelled at and your brain is shorting out, the circuits are shorting out, and you just freeze. And you end up doing nothing. You just go unresponsive, which is not the right answer. It's a terrible thing to do because now no progress is being made. But it's understandable if you have no experience in that world, in war, in the trenches. That's what happens. And that's what happened with this guy. It got to the point where I just don't think he knew how to respond anymore. Because every time he made some sort of suggestion, it was not the best suggestion. It was not the best way forward. Now, I know why he was doing that initially. He was just trying to save money and time and make this go away quickly. But he was lowballing on the offers. And then with, the constant pushback on my end, and then the issues he was dealing with the contractors he was hiring that weren't showing up and getting the job done, and the dissatisfaction on my end, and then the looming option of going to court and dealing with it long term, because and losing that way, because you're going to lose. He was in the wrong. The whole company was in the wrong. All that stuff coming down on him, he just froze. He just couldn't handle it. He was just emotionally and mentally just wiped. We killed them emotionally and mentally. That's what we did here. And again, I'm not sitting here bragging about that like, yeah, we showed him. No, I'm not happy about that. I'm not proud of that. But that's war. That's something people don't realize about war. War is absolute hell. And it should be a last resort. And I'll say that till I'm blue in the face. War should be a last resort because it is hell. And if you have it in your head, if you make the decision to go to war, you're making the decision to do terrible, despicable, dark things. It is the last resort. Okay? And when I get into that space, when I make that decision, which I rarely do anymore because it's hell, just know that there is no, Geneva Convention. There's no moral or ethical way to go about war. Like, well, here's the ethical way to kill somebody else so that it's okay to do. Now, like, I am fighting dirty. There's no such thing as fighting dirty. They're just fighting. Okay? If you make the decision to go to war, it's because your life depends on it or your property, which is why I didn't go out and killing anybody in real life. This is not a real war. This is jokes here, folks. But there's a lesson here. There's a lesson here. If it's a last resort, I'm a last resort, by the way, for folks who want to go to war with me as an ally. I'm the last resort because I'm not playing nice. I'm not playing according to any rules. The only rules I'm playing by are how am I going to survive and win? That's it. Now, I'll use what's available to me. If there are rules that are available to my advantage, great, I'll use them. I'll take advantage of those rules and those loopholes and legalities, whatever. If there are rules that are going to hinder me, not doing them. Not doing them. And I'm going off on a tangent just because when you talk about war with me, it's a drug. Go talk about crack with a crackhead. or meth with a meth head, or pots with a pothead. They start getting kooky because that's the drug. That is the drug that we're addicted to. Going after things. That's my drug, is fighting the good fight, being in the trenches. And I go off on tangents. And I'm sorry that you have to hear this, but I'm not sorry. That's just who I am. Anyway, let's get to some hotline calls, folks. We got a decent amount this time. So let's see what we got on the hotlines.
Oh, hey, buddy. Big fan, long time listener. Just wondering, why don't, maybe like somebody else besides Nic Cage? Maybe another famous actor, character, with a lot of money? I don't know, buddy. Just wondering if maybe you want to spread that love, huh?
All right. Look, I don't know who that was. I don't know if that was an AI voiceover or that was just an impression that the person was able to do. If they just did that themselves, that's a pretty good Mickey Mouse impression. If that's what you were going for, Mickey Mouse. I don't know if you were alluding to I should be a fan of Mickey Mouse also. But it's an interesting call. So thanks for that. I'm not going to be a Mickey Mouse fan. I don't mind Disney. I like the rides. I like some of the movies, the older movies. I'm a Donald Duck guy. I don't like Mickey and Minnie Mouse. I'm a Donald Duck guy. I also don't like the pedophilia going on with Disney and then protecting that and keeping it hush hush that they've been doing for decades. Don't like that at all. Don't mind saying it either. I don't like that part of Disney. Not a fan of the child sex stuff that you guys are doing. But I like Donald Duck. So if you're asking me to be a fan of Mickey Mouse as well as Nic Cage, it's not going to happen. I just don't like Mickey Mouse. Don't like him. But thank you for the call. All right, let's go to the next one here.
All right. So you don't want to add to the big three. You want to keep it the big three. You don't want to have it as a big four. Fine. I think the host of the Libretti Diary Podcast Show should, on a weekly basis, watch at least one Nic Cage film he hasn't seen and identify where Nic Cage's character has either lived up to or fallen short of the big three and share that as part of the Cage segment. I just find it hard to believe that somebody who has a podcast with a specific, dedicated time for Nic Cage facts can't seem to incorporate more Nic Cage in his life. And I feel like this is a good compromise. You keep your top three, but we get a little bit more Nic Cage. And then you can live up to this giant fanboy reputation you got.
All right, that's the call. That guy's angry. I don't know what happened in his life why he's so angry, but the guy is angry. And he is not satisfied, and that's okay, fella. I am sorry you feel so unhappy in your life that you need to bash somebody for how they're running their show. Very sad. I feel bad for you, fella. With that, though, I do want to, I'll address the question or the comments. I'm not going to shy away from that. What I do on my own time is what I do on my own time. Okay? I watch Nic Cage stuff. I dive into the Nic Cage articles and the rumors. And what I choose to put on my Nic Cage segment is what I choose to put on my Nic Cage segment. If you want more Nic Cage in your life, go put more Nic Cage in your life. I know you can't. I know you're going to say with the excuses that you have a full-time job, you're a big-time leadership element guy, you got a full family, and I'm happy for you. I love that for you. You got the unions you got to take care of. I get it. You're a busy guy. But if you want more of something in your life as an adult, living in America still, while you still have the freedom to do some of this stuff, you also have the responsibility as an adult to do it yourself. Now, if you ask nicely, maybe I'll put a little bit more Nic Cage stuff in there. Maybe I know that the Nic Cage segment is just for me, mainly for me, and I'm only putting as much out as I want to because people sometimes don't want to hear all that crap. And I give them a little taste, and they get their quick fix, and then they move on. If people want more, they can certainly politely ask for more. Or if they have suggestions or ideas, they can certainly politely and nicely suggest those ideas. What's not going to work with me, as many people already know this, is when you start barking orders at me and start telling me I need to do something or calling me out about how I'm not good enough as a Nic Cage guy for someone who touts as being a Nic Cage guy. That's when I'm not going to do it. I'll cancel the Cage segment altogether and then still tell everyone I'm the Nic Cage guy just to prove the point. So, as a leader, my friend, my union leader friend, you should come up with your end goal is to get more Cage in your life through this show. As a leader, you should find a more effective way to reach your success. And if you need help doing that, you could visit www.spearheadleadership.co and sign up. And I'd be more than happy to get in touch with you, and we can work together to get you to the leadership success you're looking for. Until then, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you for the call. I love you. Let's see what we got next.
Hey, I just started listening to the show. I'm just wondering, maybe there's a little something weird going on here. I hear you talk about porch pirates, and then you go off in this whole salad thing, how you love salad, how you love tossing salad, how this transvestite is checking you out. I think maybe you're giving the wrong signal to this guy in the audience. Maybe a little less of the talking salad talk, a little less of the porch pirate talk, and more about, I don't know, the Yankees, maybe some holy cow kind of talk. All right.
All right, that's a good call. Maybe some more holy cow talk and a little less tossing salad. I agree. I think anybody who spends more than 10 seconds discussing salad stuff or even thinking about salad stuff has got a little problem on their hands. And because of that, we're not going to talk about it anymore. We'll talk about holy cow stuff, and we'll give a better impression to the people of the LPDS neighborhood around here. So thank you for that call. I appreciate it. I think we got more calls. We got 2 more calls, folks. Holy cow. What a day. Stand by. Here's the next call.
Sergeant, Bone Crusher calling. I have a bone to pick with the LPDS. I'm calling to find out why I haven't been invited back as a guest host. I was originally in the running as guest of the year, which many think that I should have won from Nikki Sticks. And since then, I've been blackballed from the LPDS and all the guest hosts. So I'm just calling to find out why, to put you on the spot and find out why. This is a travesty that needs to be fixed as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Stay strong. Bone Crusher out.
All right, Bone Crusher, thanks for the call. It's always good to hear from you. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt here. That's what we try to do here as often as possible. Now, I remember the last time we physically saw each other in person, it was for Big Mike's wedding. And I don't remember, did we record that weekend together? I don't necessarily remember if we did or not. I thought we talked about it at the very least, and maybe things got too busy and we didn't. But I distinctly remember the offer was on the table. And another point I'd like to make, and being as respectful as possible, is, as you know, we have an open door policy here as brothers. The invite is open anytime you want to come down and visit for any length of time. As long as I'm around, you're welcome to come down here. I don't want to say I will never do it again, but I am limiting the Zoom interviews very much so. It is going to be hard pressed to be, unless I have some sort of like once in a lifetime opportunity to interview somebody or have a guest on, and we can't physically meet, then we'll do a Zoom interview. But you lose so much from the conversation and the rapport and the connection through a Zoom interview for a podcast, that for this particular instance, I'm not doing brother guest spots for Zoom. There has to be, very extenuating circumstances for that to happen. That being said, there is an open invite anytime you want to come down here, and we'll do an episode. You can also be, our other brother and previous guest, Bonji, Brandon Roper Humpert. He's been down here several times, and he picks and chooses when he wants to be a guest on and be on the show. So you have that option too. Maybe you want to come down and we don't want to record, and that's cool too. But the invite's open. It's always been open. So you want to be on the show, come on down. Or let's coordinate a time for me to go up there, and we'll do another show. We'll get on the episode. There is nothing stopping this from happening. There's no black balling. There's no blue balling. There's no Styx influence. Nothing. There is nothing stopping another guest appearance from the Bone Crusher from happening, other than the Bone Crusher being here in person to make it happen. So there's a spare room available. It's a king-size bed. You can close the door so Randy doesn't bother you at night. And the office is here. The LPDS studio is already prepped and ready for guests. So if you want to be on, come on down. I'm more than happy to host you. Thank you for the call. I do appreciate it. I think we got one more call, folks, and then we'll be done.
Hey, good morning, John. Tony Saccone. Haven't had a hotline call. I haven't given you a hotline call in a while. I was just thinking about your garden that you're growing, the tomatoes and the peppers. Would you be so kind to maybe send me a couple tomatoes and peppers? I'd be interested in seeing how they taste. But it reminded me of a story of your great-grandma Libretti in Corona. That poor lady would sleep with an alarm clock under her pillow on Saturday night to make sure she got up early on Sunday to make the sauce for the family. She'd make sauce, she'd make meatballs, sausages, braciole, to feed off a big table that she had in her house for children, grandchildren, and everything else. Very memorable occasions. Too bad she's not here anymore, but I think she'd be very proud of you. She couldn't understand you because she didn't speak any English, but she would have got the message to have known that she had a great grandson that was doing a good job as you're doing. Hope the business is going well. Don't forget me with the tomatoes and the peppers. Make me very upset if I never receive anything, okay? And keep doing what you're doing a great job. Please send my regards to your mom and dad, and hope all is well. And keep plugging and stay safe. Take care, Johnny. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.
All right. Funny enough, that call went on for another minute and a half of, it didn't actually hang up the call, and it just kept going in silence and some jostling around. It was pretty funny. I'm not going to play that. But thank you for the call, Tony Sacco, as he's called here in the LPDS universe. I always appreciate the support. I love those calls. I love the story was great. When he started talking about the sauce and the brajol and the meatballs, I got a little hungry. With that, yeah, I'll absolutely send some stuff. I can't guarantee I'm gonna get stuff to send you. Okay. First and foremost, I have a very poor track record the last couple years when it comes to the timing of planting, with me moving and other stuff where I couldn't harvest any tomatoes at the time. Maybe it was one season was a bad season altogether. I got no tomatoes. The wet cat loved that. So I've had the last couple years have been a poor string of no tomatoes or peppers. So I'm trying to break that string. I don't know how it's going to go because living in Texas now, I jacked up the timing of when to plant these plants. I thought I was going to get it. I thought I had the timing right, but I'm too late. I was late on it. So I had to see how the tomatoes and peppers grow throughout the rest of this, the next few weeks into the summer with the heat and stuff. And if they're going to be good, or if I'm going to have to wait until the fall season to plant some new plants during their fall when it's a little cooler out. I'll let you know. So if I do have tomatoes and peppers, I'll get them up there to you. I got to figure out the best way to get them up there and to keep them fresh so that they're not, stale or what have you. But we'll figure it out together. First steps first, I got to get tomatoes and peppers. If I have no tomatoes, you have no tomatoes. Nobody's got tomatoes. So that's the goal here is we got to get flush with tomatoes so I can make sauce and hand it out to people. So thank you for the call. I absolutely will try to work with you to get that sent up there. And maybe I'll just come up and visit and bring them with me. So we'll see how it goes. But I appreciate that. With that, that's all we got, folks. That's all I got to say about the hotline this week. Tremendous week of hotline calls. I love that. I love that. I don't know how long we went this time. If I get more calls throughout next week, I'll try to plan out and break them out so that it's not too long of an episode and we can get to all the calls and have a good time doing it. But feel free to keep calling in. Before we go, though, very quickly, the big three. I'm looking at you in YouTube land. The big three are the three pillars to staying strong and being a better, kinder, happier, healthier, more genuine human being and spreading that goodness and positivity throughout the land. Number one, exercise every day. Do one thing each and every day to exercise yourself and improve your health and fitness levels physically, mentally, or emotionally. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person, be a kind person. When the opportunity rises to be negative and shitty to somebody, even if you think they deserve it, even if they do deserve it, take that LPDS step back and remove yourself from that situation altogether because you're helping nobody out. You're adding to the negativity and the shit going on in the world. So take the step back. How you doing? Minimize the negativity going on and give yourself the capacity and the mental space to go focus on more positive, productive things with your lives. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives because you never know when they're going to be gone. And if you even just think about one thing each and every day and take the time to actively think about that one thing and think about how your life would be, what it would be like without that thing or that person or that experience, that'll put you in the state of gratitude very quickly. And if you do that more and more each day, the majority of your mental space will be spent in gratitude as opposed to taking things for granted. And if you couple that with not being a shitty person, and you couple that with exercising every day, physically, mentally, or emotionally, I promise you guys, you will be better, happier, kinder, healthier, more genuine human beings, and you can spread that goodness and positivity throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that hotline 202-670-1114. Call us up. Keep them coming. Keep the jokes coming. Keep the shit talks coming. Keep the angry responses coming. Keep the questions coming. All of it. I'm here for all of it. I love it all. We'll play it. We'll respond to it. We'll have a great time doing it. 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.